Hey guys, this is Sean DeGray. Nobody knows who that is, but it's me.
And you are listening to
The Gritty Bowmen.
It's all in perspective, right? If you could make $150,000 a year, but you had to work 80 hours a week, and you were committed to a corporation that you hated what you did, is that more lucrative than making $70,000 a year doing what you love with a lot of free time? And who's richer?
One of the things I never want to say, and I even think this with life, is I never want to say, like, what if? Like, what? I hate that. I hate that feeling. What if I would have done this? Or what if I would have just tried this? Or what if? What if? And there's very few things that I say what if about. Very few things. And that gives me a lot of peace of mind. So that helps give me drive, because I don't want to ever say what if.
Randy always says this, you're going to run out of health before you run out of money.
How come they're not connecting with their audiences the way you have?
Oh, it's going to sound really horrible.
It's okay.
First thing, I think a lot of people that are filming hunts aren't hunters. They're chasing fame, or they want to get on camera.
I nailed that one, dude.
Because they want to get free products, free bows, free arrows. They want to talk to pretty girls. They want to sign hats. They want to be something that they're not. So they're trying to, when you're trying, like if you know, and some people are amazing at it, like Brad Pitt and Leonardo DiCaprio. You can say, hey, Brad Pitt, you're a race car driver. And at the end of that movie, you're like, holy shit, is he a race car driver?
Right.
Yeah, no kidding.
My God, he did a really good job. It really seemed like he has a fight club. It does, it does seem that way.
Rule number one.
Yeah. But sincerely, like if you're being yourself, if you have to attach your name to it, if you're looking down the barrel of that camera or engaging whatever it is that you're doing, and if you're being yourself, then it's going to come across really genuine. But if you're not really who that person is.
All right, folks, welcome to the Gritty Bowmen podcast. We're a little hungry here, so I'm here with Donnie Vincent and Aaron Snyder, and we're just gonna eat a little bit and drink a little bit. Just deal with it.
This is Amy jerky from a dead sheep.
Yeah,
yeah.
So
It's really good.
So I've been a huge fan of everything you've done, your photos, your movies. I've watched Rivers Divide, I think, I don't know. It's probably 25 times.
Right on.
For real.
Yeah.
I think of all the outdoor films that are out there and filmmakers, you've done probably that particular film probably ranks up there one of the best of all time.
Man, that's huge.
Aaron probably hasn't seen it. That's just how you did.
You lent it.
Oh, that's right.
He suffered. I should probably send you some stuff.
The thing is watching you.
It was good, wasn't it? And Aaron's not a big fan of.
I'm not a fan. What it reminded me of was
pull that mic closer.
What it reminded me of was more of a Nat Geo hunting movie. Like, I didn't just watch it to see something die, because that's why I quit watching hunting shows. Yeah. I watched yours because it was good. It was cool to watch. The cinematography, the storyline. And you weren't bullshitting, right? When you talk, it is what he or I would be thinking or whatever during the hunt. So and it is a miracle that I watched. I mean, dude, I pay you from Kafar, right? I mean, I sponsor you, but it's a miracle for me to watch a show. Yeah. But when I watched that one, I was like, yeah, I could watch that again. And actually, Amy's watched it.
Yeah,
my girlfriend's not a hunter. She watched it and she was like, that was epic. And I'm like, I know. And
my wife has watched it a couple times too.
She loves the hair, right? She loves the
that's the whole I got the Donnie Vincent signature look. My friend Ryan Lampers, I call him Donnie Vincent Lampers.
Dude, he could be your brother. I'm not kidding.
Dude, you got a photo with him yesterday. I saw it floating around.
I met him, yeah.
But
he said his wife would kill him if he didn't take a picture.
That's right. I've teased him a few times about it. Because you look a lot like you do have that signature. I mean, I don't know what to call it, like hippie, hipster, hunter,
this is
outdoorsman.
I had a mullet in 8th grade, and beyond that, it's been this since 8th grade.
Dude, you're graying up though. I mean, there's some serious gray poking through.
I've done some shit. I've done some stuff.
How old are you?
42.
Okay,
we're all
I'm
old.
43.
I'm the young, and I'm 40.
I'm 42.
Yeah.
And I feel, I honestly, I'm sure you guys relate, but I literally feel stronger and healthier than I did when I was 18.
I do too.
Yeah. Other than I used to race motorcycles for a long time, and so my knees only on sheep hunts and only coming down.
Yeah.
But probably the second day I had to take Advil, and then every other day after that on a sheep hunt just because of coming down, especially with a
Downhill.
load. Brutal. I cannot stand walking downhill. Yeah.
How long did it take? I feel better too. Aaron's better. He roided out for a while, and he looked like
Dude, I got huge.
he looked like that stone dude off of Fantastic Four.
Yeah, I was like 270. I couldn't
Like,
wipe.
for real, we need to put
bad.
that photo in the podcast. It's
Did
not
you really
natural.
how heavy did you get?
Oh, dude,
270.
I'm
70
not
pounds heavier than I am now.
no
75.
way.
Donnie. I'm not joking when I say he looked like that guy. That's what he looked like.
Well, and what's
Just
funny,
round.
I couldn't walk from here to the water fountain.
Yeah.
So, but when I lost it, I was backpack hunting. He and I went for 2.5 months straight.
Mm-hmm.
There's no way I could do that. No knee problems or whatever. I mean, I literally, unless if we wrestled, I may have been twice your size. Unless it was over in a good 20 seconds, you were going to beat my ass.
Oh, yeah.
I couldn't breathe. I'll dig the photo up while we're talking.
Yeah.
So, I have some selfish questions for you.
Yeah, lay it on me.
The Rivers Divide.
Yep.
So, on that film, how long did it take for you to film it and produce it?
It took us 2 years to film it.
Okay.
The first year, so I had
The first year, you just blew it, man.
blew it.
What happened there? Buck fever? Hit a branch?
No, I hit a branch at first.
that's
Actually, it was leaves. It was an ash tree, and I just shot through a collection of leaves.
Is it like 40 yards or something, though?
No. 17 was
Oh,
the first.
oh,
17 was the first
that's
shot.
right,
When it
that's right.
deflected to the left.
That's right.
The second one was 38 yards, something
So,
like that.
That shot haunted you for like a year.
Because I've known that deer since he was 2. 2 is when I started seeing him, and just like, oh, he's kind of cool looking. Passed him at 4 in the same spot.
Yeah.
Passed him at 4, and he would have been my largest buck with a bow to that day, and it was 30 below
hard.
zero.
That was hard to do, I bet.
Wicked hard. He was right there, 18 yards, would have been my biggest buck, but I knew he was only 4 years old.
Yeah.
And I'm not a trophy hunter, but I knew he was only 4, so I was just sitting there and I was like, I want to kill him so bad, but he's that deer that if I do get to see him next year, it might be splendid.
Right.
And I didn't get to see him the next year because I didn't make it out there. But then as soon as I was rolling through. I had a Reconyx camera out there.
Yeah.
I was just rolling through pictures, just looking at there's a lot of cool deer out there, and I was just like, and his picture came up. I had not seen him since he was 4.
Uh-huh.
I literally was like, and I was like, that's Steve. Like, oh my God, dude, that's Steve. That's Steve.
That name's epic,
that's
by the
Steve.
way.
Yeah.
He's not Big Buck Tines or whatever. He's just Steve.
Steve. Yeah,
That's
Steven.
funny.
That's
we name our
classic.
elk the same way. I
Yeah.
got one elk named it's dead, right? Fred, my daughter names him. The other one's Dale, which is Fred's son, which is actually the one we killed this year.
That's how we like to name them, too.
Yeah. Well, it's so much it does feel. I do feel a tiny bit of disrespect when we do this. However, people have asked me before, like that's so disrespectful. Western guys don't like to do, and it's common that Western guys don't see their animals twice. But literally, when I'm with a friend or sitting in a tree, and the 8-pointer that we named Roger is walking at us, I get to go, hey, Roger's coming, or hey, I see Roger, or I saw Roger. And instantly, he has an idea. I don't have to sit there and say, hey, I saw that 8. That would, that wider 8
one.
with the, it has the lower 4s. That one is.
Totally.
I don't have to say that at all. I just.
The other thing too is like if I say, hey, you remember the year when I shot Fred? That sounds better than I say, you remember when I shot the yoked out 18 tall time, whatever. That to me is a little bit disrespectful. It's more just to say, remember when I shot that elk? Obviously, when I say Fred, it takes a different context.
Yeah.
Now they know the year.
And I don't think for me, it's the opposite. I think it shows respect. Like, you're familiar with that animal, you know it. You naming it doesn't take away from it at all for me.
I think it just confuses a little bit of non-hunters and oh my
true.
Word.
Isn't that ridiculous? That's wrong.
It is illegal, but it'd be fun to do arrow testing on a guy like that. Just oh my word.
There's it's ridiculous.
Oh my! And you were really?
I was only.
There was a lot of steroids.
You were
in
really
these.
juicing, or you were just eating?
You don't get that big. From that. Anybody?
I exercise and still have the body of an 8-year-old girl. So
it's funny when people come up that are not to get off subject to naming animals, but Phil Heath is a bodybuilder, right?
Yeah.
And we were at Bally's when I was bigger, and he's like, "Yeah," he was telling these people he's all natural. Dude, I got pissed. I'm like, who are you? There would be no Arnold. All right, there would be no Arnold Classic. There would be no Mr. Olympia without steroids. They just would not be. They're all on it, which it's the stupidest thing I've ever done.
I heard Louis Simmons the other day on Joe Rogan's podcast, big weightlifter. He's like 65 or something.
Yeah.
He still does drugs?
Well, he says you're stupid if you don't use steroids.
Oh.
Yeah, he's blatant.
So maybe
It's got
something you could look into.
I will say, I'm not an expert when you talk like test therapy. Basically, if some dudes are just naturally test depleted. Their body doesn't produce it, and they have to take tests. What it is as you get older, it's just basically bouncing you to what the doctors feel the test level you should be at. Now, those guys have never taken that amount. It has always been 5 to 10 times that amount, but I can say for people I've talked to, and I'll probably at some point in time, if my test levels keep going down, I may go in and get checked out and tested. But
of course.
I mean, I was taking 1,200 milligrams of Enanthate a week. That's more than a 18-year-old kid produces in probably 3 months, right? One's good, two's better. But I mean, it was something I did for a short period.
We did
of time,
a podcast on it. I think it's called "Sex, Drugs, and Don't Be an Idiot" or something like that.
Yeah, sex, drugs, and fitness. Yeah, do you even lift, bro?
Or something like
stupid,
that.
Yeah. It wasn't those.
We try to be real creative.
Yeah. This is going to be hippie, buzz top, and gray beards.
That's right. No, I did enjoy that film.
So to answer your question, it took 2 years to film, and then we put it together that spring. So just a couple of months to, like, if we sat down and only did a film and didn't have client work and didn't have to do other obligations, like we could. I don't want to say crank one out, but we could do one in a couple of months.
So tell me this, like, did you do the writing?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Which is really good.
Thank you.
It just authentic, real, the pain you're going through, the haunting. So well put together, dude. I can't say enough about it. So when you did that, how did, now that you're kind of past it, when you shared that film, what was it like?
Oh, it was amazing. It was nervous. When I first started writing for it, I started writing in kind of like a TV style, things that I had been used to from being
TV show, hunting TV
shows
and stuff.
And being fans of, of different people in the industry. When I was growing up and becoming a hunter, obviously you get drawn towards different people and how, and so I started writing things. I was working with Kyle Nicolite, our producer. I started writing things, and I'd hand it to him. He's like, "Yeah, this is stupid. I've never ever heard you talk like this. I've never ever heard you say these words. I've never ever." He's like, "Write it like you want to," and I was like, "Yeah, dude, but the things that I have to say, people don't want to hear.
Yeah.
Like, I seriously get heavy in the heart. My mind gets really heavy when I kill animals. Do I get super excited and sometimes run around and jump around like an idiot? 100%. But from the second my arrow leaves my bow, I know that the animal that I just shot at is going to experience the end of its life, or if I make a mistake, pain and further injury and further difficult in an already tremendously difficult habitat of nature. And so, so that's how I started writing. No bullshit writing. And am I allowed to swear on this?
Yeah. Oh, okay. I do all the time.
Okay, so no bullshit writing. And I brought it down to him. He's like, "Yes, that's it."
That's
so
what
then, then we went and did our reads and started putting it together. But
you could tell you did that because when I first watched it, I was like, "Yeah, that's what I'd be. That's what I'd be thinking. That's what I would be." I mean, a few twists and turns aside, obviously, I'm probably a little more sick and twisted than you. But I was like, I can relate to everything he's saying from beginning to end.
Yeah,
so.
I loved it that first of all, you wound the animal.
Yep.
Right? And you didn't not show it. Like, that's an integral part of that whole story, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
You're like, nobody wants to cause any undue stress to an animal and cause it to suffer. But it happened.
Yeah.
And I like that because so few shows and, networks won't allow it.
People are nervous to show, like, everyone sucks. And some of us suck more than others.
Just see Aaron with a recurve.
We sucked a lot. I hunted with a recurve all year. We wounded an elk, and first I missed a deer 3 times in one sitting. But I wounded an elk, and we posted about it. And we had guys, "You need to turn in your tag, stop hunting." And I'm like, I'm not stopping hunting. The elk's fine for 1, 2. I need meat in my freezer, and I mean, And guys were like, I would never do that. And it's like, oh, I forgot I'm the only one not perfect.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, shit happens.
Yeah.
You do your best. You work on it for the next year. And in your case, it worked out great.
The thing is, and from my perspective, and I've said this many times, I like to tell it like it is, just how it went down. My buddy shot a bull elk, and it went through the leg. The next day, it was in open country. We ran it down for 3 miles until it got too tired, and then
aired it again.
It was like a run up a mountain, down a mountain, run him up a mountain. It literally, and just worked him till he was so tired he dehydrated. It was a hot day.
Yeah.
But
they almost died too. Actually.
Yeah, we left our packs and our water, everything behind.
You left your survival gear.
Yeah, it was great. It was brilliant.
Awesome.
It was a
we did a
moment
podcast on that.
That's
later.
right.
Yeah. Awesome. Don't ditch your
mistakes
survival
made.
gear.
Yeah.
But what happens though is, we share that. Well, when you're going straight to YouTube, you can do whatever you want.
Yeah. Yeah.
With you can do whatever you want. You're not catering to or under the stipulations of a network TV show.
No.
And I like that authenticity. But with that, I feel like you have to provide context. Instead of tackling it, people just avoid it altogether and pretend it, just cut it out of their films.
Or even worse, the non-hunters or people that don't understand make up their own version, which is super easy to do as a person. We always do it. We see an old friend or something, and we read their body language wrong, and then we're like, oh, man, that guy doesn't like me anymore or something, and then you talk to him later, and he's like, I didn't even see you, man.
You're gray now. I didn't notice.
Yeah. But, yeah, I mean, totally, it's you leave it open to interpretation, but if you're honest on film and honest about the storytelling and really you're completely authentic, completely sincere, and completely honest with yourself and your audience, even if they hate it, even if they hate you, it's still it's still the truth. They can't fault you for being honest and telling the truth. And I received a couple of letters. I received really positive feedback, and I get a lot of letters from non-hunters and anti-hunters. I get a tremendous amount of letters from them. But I did get a couple of letters from hunters about that deer when they're like, which is really funny because they're like, yep, I hope you enjoyed hunting in that high fence and that deer that was trapped by a river. It was one guy wrote, it was actually laughable that it took you 2 years to kill this buck. A buck that's been trapped by a river. And I'm like, trapped by a river? The river is 2 inches
I know,
deep.
you walk across it.
It doesn't go over my ankles most of the time, and it's funny.
Yeah, we have to deal with some of that.
Yeah, we get that.
And the deer netted. It's the only deer I've ever put in record books, and the deer netted 139.
Yeah.
Okay, he grossed 165, netted 139. There's no deer in a high fence ever that has.
I was going to say, we talk about that, especially Brian. He's gotten me, trophy places, a trophy is in the eye of the beholder,
Absolutely.
right? Like one of the smallest, I shot that bull with the recurve this year, right? And I've killed 3 bulls in that 345 to 370 range. You've seen a couple.
Yeah.
I'm not a trophy hunter, but it just happened, right place, right time. Anyway, I don't show a lot of emotion. I shot that 5-point this year with the recurve. I literally about cried, and I don't cry over anything. And I'm like trying to keep my shit together, right? And it was just. We had gotten our butts kicked first year ever shooting a recurve. Yeah. And that was a big trophy for me, big deal for me. And you could tell with that deer for you, I mean, you lost your shit a little bit. I mean, you could tell that meant a lot to you.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. It was tough.
So what do you think, like, for guys out there that are sharing films and content and building content, what do you think is, like, where are they missing the boat? How come they're not connecting with their audiences the way you have?
Oh, it's going to sound really horrible.
It's okay.
First thing, I think a lot of people that are filming hunts aren't hunters. They're chasing fame, or they want to get on camera.
Nailed that one, dude.
Because they want to get free products, free bows, free arrows. They want to talk to pretty girls. They want to sign hats. They want to be something that they're not. So they're trying to, when you're trying, like if you and some people are amazing at it, like Brad Pitt and Leonardo DiCaprio. You can say, hey, Brad Pitt, you're a race car driver. And at the end of that movie, you're like, holy shit, is he a race car driver?
Right.
Yeah, no kidding.
My God, he did a really good job. It really seemed like he has a fight club. It does, it does seem that way.
Rule number one.
Yeah. But sincerely, like if you're being yourself, if you have to attach your name to it, if you're looking down the barrel of that camera or engaging whatever it is that you're doing, and if you're being yourself, then it's going to come across really genuine. But if you're not really who that person is, or you really, and I think we've all went through it. Like when I first started hunting and friends would take me hunting or different people would take me hunting, I had no idea zero idea as to what being a hunter was. I had no idea. Like, I remember one day I'll never forget this, but I was hunting whatever with a friend of mine. We had 12 gauges. We were literally harassing wildlife. And I shot a blue jay with my 12 gauge, and it fell to the ground, and I was just walked over to it, and I was just like, I was like, this is disgusting. I was just sitting there going, yeah. So I saw, as a young man, I wanted that cause and effect. I wanted to hear the boom, feel the recoil, see this thing crumple, its feathers, and then, but as soon as it was over with, I was like, oh my God, I did this.
Yeah.
And so I think a lot of these guys, if they're struggling, if they really want to do this is sincerely who they are. They're not chasing money. They're not chasing products, because we've never chased money or products, or we do work with some great companies like Faru.
Dude, you've been. Well, I can go into that in a minute. You definitely don't chase money. I can tell you that.
I don't chase money.
No, you do not.
and I think the ones that really want to do it, and they sincerely are this person where they have pitfalls, are really putting forth the work. It's not hit record when you're getting out of the truck, putting an arrow on your bow, getting to your tree stand when the deer walks out. No. It's filming literally everything. Mm-hmm. Like if you're crossing a river, you may think you want to do what I do for a job. I assure you don't. Because if I cross a river, I have to cross a river 4 times. And sometimes we are filmmakers, so sometimes we fib a little bit when we're filming. For instance, and this was really difficult, but all the river crossing scenes that you see in the Rivers Divide, that was after, that all ends up before I wounded Steve. But in reality, all of that was filmed after I wounded Steve. So I still...
Dude, you just ruined the movie for me.
For 7 days, I had to pretend to go hunting because we didn't film. We made our own mistake.
We
learned our own lesson. We didn't film that stuff originally, which we now don't make that mistake. Mm-hmm. But back then, we're like, I already wounded Steve, and like all I want to do is throw my bags in the truck and drive home as fast as I can and cry on my dresser. But there had to be work to be done.
I hear you.
So it's just filming everything, and it's sincerely filming everything. And like one time we were on a grizzly bear hunt, and me and my lead photographer is William Altman, super talented guy, but we crawled like 200 yards to film some ptarmigan eating some Labrador berries.
Yeah.
And our guide that we were with, he's like, after we crawled back, and it's pouring rain, we crawled back to him. He's like, what in the hell are you two doing? We're like, we're filming this ptarmigan over there. He's like, why? Like, because when we put this ptarmigan in the grizzly bear film, it's going to pull all of these guys, and they're going to know that they're sitting on the tundra. Takes them, and then we showed them the footage at night, and you can literally see this ptarmigan plucking berries, and you can see the berry going down his esophagus into his crop. And then he's, you can see his little feathers and his little eyes and their little twitches. And we showed him in the tent. He's like, it's the most badass footage I've ever seen in my life. It's like, but it takes, we had to crawl 200 yards in the pouring rain to film the grouse.
Aaron and I geek out like that because I like film like that, and I'm trying to film a
photo.
I'm trying to film a squirrel, and then Aaron's like getting this shot, and it might be pitch dark, and we're like 3 miles into this spot, and we'll stop.
I gotta say, he is super cool about I'm getting better with the video, because he's like, brush your hand right here. You just did it. Do the same thing again. And I'm like, what did I do?
Yeah.
And he's like, right here. And I'm like this? He's like, you just did it naturally. Do it again. I'm like, well, now it doesn't feel natural. Or the photos.
That stuff is tough, man.
The photos, it's like, we got our ass beat elk hunting. I'm like, hey, can we, sit here? Dude, insane night sky, basically. I'm like, can you mind if I get the tripod and the camera out? And then we sit there for 30 minutes, and I'm doing 30-second long exposures, getting night shots. I can tell you what, if you don't have a partner that is not into that, that hunting partnership is going to end quick, because it's a pain in the butt.
Yeah.
I mean, it is.
And I'll tell you, sometimes like we'll be in the Arctic Circle, and I'll have to get up to go pee in the middle of the night. I'll go outside and go pee, and then all of a sudden I'm like, the northern lights are out. So I go inside, I'm like, William, and it's like 5 degrees. William. And he opens his eyes, and my photographer, he's a sleeper, so it takes 30 to 40 days for his eyes to open. And they finally open, and I'm like, hey, the northern lights are out. And you can just tell he's like, hoping a sniper bullet hits him in the forehead right then. But then he stumbles out of bed. But that's it.
Yeah.
And so it's being honest with yourself, and really I talked to a young lady last night here, and she's like, I love your work. I totally get where you're coming from. And she said, I'm a huge huntress, which personally I hate that word.
Right.
I absolutely hate it.
We do too.
Just because you're a female, you're still a hunter. And then she was like, and I'm just like you. I love getting out there, and I love nature, and I just love just killing shit, And I was like, absolutely, you have no idea what you're talking about. None. You look fantastic in blue jeans. I mean,
right.
fantastic, but you have no idea what you're talking about.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
it's true. There is a lot of that, and that's.
And we all go through it, right? Like I work, when I go to the
part
gym.
of this, like we're getting photos right now at the booth here, to share this, what we're doing and everything, and it's like this blend of, producing content and being involved, and then this blend of like hunting, and it's easy to lose sight of why you're really doing it, or what's really important to you.
Yeah, and it's tough to be vulnerable. It's tough to be on camera. It's
tough when everything you screw up, your partner posts. I can tell you.
Really
I'm just kidding.
Well, I'm just kind of like, very much like, let's tell the truth. Let's be as open book as we can.
It was funny because
and Aaron's a good sport.
Yeah,
He's
I don't
like,
care.
okay.
Well, the thing that
I
bothers
missed 3
me-
times.
Yeah, the thing that bugs me is if I'm on the way to a trailhead and there's a 190-inch mule deer, I'm going to hop out of my truck and I'm going to probably shoot that mule deer.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you would not believe what happened. I was on the way to the trailhead to hike in 7 miles and I shot this deer because shit like that does happen.
Yeah.
Where I
Yeah.
hate the guys that put it in the back of the truck,
Drive off.
it somewhere else to make it look epic. It's
Yep.
like,
Yep.
I've done enough epic shit.
Yeah.
I deserve a gimme every
We're
now
like-
and then.
And I have, I'll be honest with you, and sorry to interrupt you, but I turned down a deer one time in Illinois, and ended up, somebody else killed it, ended up being a net 183 10-pointer. I was driving down the road to the front of mine that was filming, and he just looks over, he goes, oh, holy shit, pulls the truck over, he's like, Donnie, get your bow, and I don't even know what's going on yet, I don't even see it, and I grab my bow, and he's like, there's a monster bedded right here with a doe. So we slowly get out, and I have my bow and arrow knocked, and I sneak over to the dirt road, and there's 2 160-inch bucks standing there to the satellites. They're standing in a thicket, and then she is bedded right off the road next to a cul-de-sac, and he's bedded right next to her, just sitting there bigger than life, and he's 19 yards.
Yeah.
Truck doors are open, the key's in, it's dinging, I'm off the road, 100% legal, and I'm sitting there, I have an arrow knocked, and he's laying there, and she's laying there, and I'm just sitting there, and he's looking at me, and he's like, kill him, and I'm just sitting there, and I'm like, I can't.
I do
He's
not
like,
suffer
what-
from
what-
those moral
what-
dilemmas.
What are you talking about? I'm like, and we weren't even filming, but I'm like, it just doesn't feel right. Like, I can't.
Yeah.
He's like, no, dude, like, kill that deer. It's once in a lifetime. I'm like, and then we passed him and went to the tree stand, and then I sat in the tree stand, like, smashing myself in the head with regret. But then I texted a friend of mine, and I told him the story. He's like, dude, while that is a great opportunity, and you couldn't fault anyone for taking that opportunity, you couldn't. And I may make a different decision someday
Down the road.
But right then, I was just like, and I was texting him. He's like, that. And later on, I called in a nice, respectable 16-point buck in the 160s and arrowed him. Called him, and he came in all pissed off, and I arrowed him. That meant so much more to me than sticking one right outside of the road. But it was very difficult not to take the easy win.
I think, though, that it also depends the situation, because that, to me, that's a big difference between whitetail hunting, where you're not, well, not in all cases, but you're not backpacking in 7 miles for 10 days.
Yeah.
I can say on 2 different occasions with buddies and myself where we've been driving in and spotted an elk on the way to the trailhead and shot it about 200 yards off the road.
Absolutely.
And I was like, yes.
Yeah.
Because we had so much more, again, epic hunts planned.
Yeah.
I still got the epic in, right? I still got the adventure,
Right.
where I was like, hell yeah, let's shoot that thing right now.
But
Because-
it is all about the experience you want to have.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
yeah,
there are
exactly.
hunts where we could hunt out of a hotel and go out, drive around, which we like those too.
Yeah.
But we go out and shoot something, but we want that backcountry, high alpine mountain hunt as well.
I would agree with you if that took my one backpack hunt from me.
Yeah.
I probably wouldn't do it. I probably wouldn't shoot it.
And
But
you know what? If he was standing there without the doe, if he was just in the thicket, bedded up, facing the opposite direction or something, and I could stalk him for a little bit and shoot him, I probably would have killed him. But the fact that I was like,
It's too
easy. And
I mean, that's part of it, right?
I do this stuff all the time. I just did an interview recently where I passed a turkey one time when I first started turkey hunting.
Yeah.
I called him, and he came in, full strut, gobbling the whole way.
And you passed?
No, he came in, and I was just sitting there, and he came in. I wanted to kill him so bad, and I was just sitting there, and all of a sudden he stopped at like 60 yards, came out of full strut, and then he just walked away. And I jumped up, and I ran around, and I flanked him on this logging road, and he walked right by at 10 yards, and I didn't shoot him. And then I ran up with my buddy, and he's like, what happened? And I told him, he's coming, full strut, his beard slapping against his chest, gobbling his head up, but he stopped for some reason, came out of strut. I told him the same story. He's like, why didn't you shoot him? I was like, I wanted him to do the deal. Like, I wanted him to do the deal. And he was like, dude, he said to me, you watch way too much TV and he said you read way too many books. That's what he said.
That is classic.
Yeah.
That's funny.
It's not how I wanted it to happen.
And we've all made adjustments. I shot a huge in my mind. It was a 6 or 7 year old Sitka black-tailed deer on Kodiak Island a few years ago. Mm-hmm. And I was hunting brown bears. And we literally, this deer, we did stalk this deer, but he turned and walked right into us. Like, he just thought he was curious, walked right into us, and I killed him, dead. But so anyway.
So I want to ask you another question.
Yeah.
Aaron is usually our guy that's tried all the gear and gone all these epic places. We've had a few other people on that get out a lot, like Bolin Lewis. Those guys had some cool encounters and stories to tell. Of all the places you've been and all the hunts you've been on, what stands out the most for you? Where's a place that just you look back on and you're like, that was epic?
For sure, one of my favorite places in the world is the Arctic Circle.
Really?
That's just where
Dude, it's cold, man.
It is cold there. It's not forgiving.
Aaron and I don't
at
like
all.
cold.
It's not. It's
we
not
need to
forgiving.
grow our hair out, I think. That'll help. The beanie hat ain't enough.
But I love sheep hunts. I've never hunted elk. It's something that I want to.
Mm-hmm.
I think I want to do to give it a shot. But I love hunting Dall sheep. Love hunting stone sheep. I just love where moose and caribou and things live.
Who were you with up there?
When I've hunted them.
Yeah.
I've hunted the Arctic many times by myself.
Yeah.
Just literally flew up there, paid a pilot to drop me off, and I would just go off on my own. Mm-hmm. That's basically, I used to do research in Alaska for the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, and I would end I was a seasonal worker, and at the end of every season, I would fly myself up to the Arctic and then go bow hunting for caribou by myself.
Gotcha. For sheep, I guess I should.
For sheep, I've hunted with Lance Kronberger in Alaska. In Tok, I drew a tag there after 14 years of applying. And then I've hunted sheep 4 times in the Chugach Mountains with buddies of mine who are residents who drew tags. Mm-hmm. I just wanted to go sheep hunting, and I couldn't afford to go on a sheep hunt.
Yeah.
So buddies of mine drew a tag, and I just went and backpacked with them and filmed them on their hunt. And then I've hunted at Arctic Red 3 times in the Mackenzie Mountains in the Northwest Territories.
I've worked with the Lancasters up there. I've never
hunted there, but I know those guys. They don't know who I am, but I know who they are.
Yeah, Clay knows who you are.
Okay,
just whatever.
Because Aaron talks crap about you all the time.
All the time.
Son of a said he's going to call.
Yeah,
said he's going to call.
No, because I figured you were going to say that and I've hunted everywhere, right?
Yeah,
and in Colorado is pretty cool looking.
Yeah.
But I got up the North Country it's just different. I mean, it's just we took the what's called the 222 road. You probably flew into Norman Wells.
Norman Wells, yep.
So we drove in from the south. If you can
you
believe
did?
that, it's a 48-hour drive. But you get up there and you've never. You just see things, rock formations you've never seen, and then the valleys, right?
Yeah.
Like 5-mile wide valley with hundreds of caribou. Wolves chasing them, shit that you never see, you'll see up there. But again, there's no power, right? There's no roads.
No.
You see a sheep, it's not like, oh man, we got to hurry. That other camp might get to it. It's like, hey, let's just, wait.
Thing's never seen a human.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That was the other thing. When they look at you and they don't run, I'm like, I'm not used to that. That sheep has never been shot at before.
Yeah.
So the Arctic Circle, huh? That's the spot.
I love it. There's a place. I'm hoping to draw the tag. There's only one other guy that knows where it is, 2 other guys, but there's a place that I hunt moose up there. Mm-hmm. There's a pilot that I go with. Yeah. He lands basically on this table, and I guess you shouldn't even really say this because I think it's illegal, but per like when we leave, it's too short of a runway, so he basically just drives the airplane off the end of a cliff, and then we fly before the ground comes up. And but there's moose there that are just like, I've never killed one there. I've only drawn the tag once, but literally like every morning, almost every morning I see a booner. Just
really
like this one.
Yeah, I mean stuff like that every day.
So
every day.
This isn't that far from Arctic Red here.
Okay,
and it's just people don't understand. When you can see 8 400-inch caribou in a group, not that size is everything, but to see something with that much on its head.
Yeah. See, I'm not a trophy guy either, but I completely appreciate you say the number because it represents an image.
Yeah.
But seeing all of that antler, and you know that grew this year.
Yeah.
And you see the little wiggles and the squiggles, and you just see it all, and it's just it's so artistic.
The other thing up there is it lived. That is a horrible country. Wolves and the weather, right? It's insane.
It's so tough. So, what species then is your favorite to hunt?
Oh yeah, I don't have one, and I'll say,
oh come on.
No, I mean if you literally said you could hunt one big game animal the rest of your life, I don't know.
I don't know.
I guess maybe it probably, just because of who I am, it'd probably be the white-tailed deer, just because.
Isn't that fascinating?
Yeah.
Because people think, but like lately it's been mule deer for me. But
yeah. And I love mule deer too. I love giant mule deer. And actually, what comes to mind every time somebody asks me that, the first thing that pops in my head is Dall sheep. Okay.
Yeah.
Dall sheep or mountain caribou I love hunting them. I love seeing them. I love being in that country. But it's such an event. You see few animals, so I just try to wrap myself. Would I rather go on one giant,
epic,
colossal, backpack trip for a sheep if I could do one a year, or would I want to be around whitetails and see 30 different animals a year, a day, and see all these interactions and the breeding and the rut and everything? But how I answer that question is it's who I'm with. And the season that it is, because literally, if you and I hunt for blue-winged teal in South Dakota over a little farm pond on opening day, and the ducks are crazy, and we get to watch the sunrise, and we're at the local diner by 9 a.m. having breakfast with the limited teal, that's amazing to me. And I'm not just saying that. People might, but that's literally who I am in my head. And I love that stuff, and I love stone sheep. I love. Yeah. I've never gotten into elk. That
surprises me.
That actually pisses some people off. But
it surprises me.
Yeah, I've killed one cow elk, and it took me about a minute to do it. Just because of where I was, they were yarded up, and
I mean, we've done a lot of elk hunting just because of where we grew up.
I bet if you did like a Colorado high country elk hunt during archery, because you're hunting them at 12,000 feet, you'd be like, man, this elk hunting's pretty cool. But then if you hunted like Western Oregon, you'd be like, elk hunting sucks.
or northern Idaho.
Yeah, northern Idaho. Yeah, it's just
brutal.
It's like hunting sheep in Colorado in the early high country. Yeah. I mean, it's great for me because I'm more of a spot and stock, glassing guy. But I mean, and Brian's he's done both. I mean, he hunted. I'm from Oregon too, but he's hunted a bunch on the west side. But you've hunted a bunch of open country.
Mostly blacktail.
Yeah.
I don't hunt. I didn't ever hunt a lot of elk. If I was going to hunt elk, I'd rather go to the Rocky Mountains.
Sure.
And head out east. But
I'm actually talking to a guy right now. There's a guy in Montana named Johnny Buford. Do you guys know him at all?
I've heard the name.
He's pretty. He's a low key guy. His wife was on Sheep Shape, the TV show, for a while.
That
Kelsey.
Makes sense. Yep.
Super sweet girl, and he's a super nice guy. But he hunts some fantastic elk country in Montana. I just kind of want to kill my first elk with him. We talked last night, and I said I want to go elk hunting with you, or maybe not go elk hunting. So
yeah. I've hunted elk in open plains country, and then hunted elk in the high country Colorado mountains kind of stuff, and then sort of in between. My favorite is like open plains. Yeah. I love it. Just you can just see forever, and there's just big herds, and they're fighting and stuff, and they're wandering. And Aaron prefers the mountains for sure.
Yeah,
but I'm more of a mountain hunter guy.
It's hard.
Yeah,
I like it. Well, I like that.
I do too. And when I say mountains, I mean it was not like it's really canyons, like Hell's Canyon.
Yeah.
So it's open, but it's like this.
Yeah.
And that's where I like to hunt elk.
It's fun when there's open country because
I just think they act more like elk to me than they do in the tree timber.
Sure. That I can't speak to, but I know, like, as a hunter, sometimes you can sit in the trees and feel like you're the only one there.
Yeah.
Like, this place is devoid of animals. But in the, like when you're hunting Dall sheep and stuff, you get up in the morning, you're like, there's one.
Well, and that's how I look at it. Like, when I'm looking at elk in those open countries, it's like, 2 miles, 1 mile, there's one there. And, okay, there's one there. Now, when you're in Oregon timber, they could be spread out those same distances. You just can't find them unless you walk around and bugle.
And you learn in both, but you really get to learn where you get to watch things, right? You really get to learn.
But blacktail, I'm sort of got this sick addiction to hunting in this nocturnal freak animal, and in the pouring rain, and I love it.
Yeah, they're a cool animal. They're really cool. That's something that's heavy on my list. Some guys have sent me some photos of animals that they've killed. Some just heavy, gnarly blacktails.
Just beautiful, dude. I think I've been to Prince of Wales hunting Sitka blacktails.
Yeah,
and I love that place.
One of my favorite things to hunt. Them in November when they're rutting.
How is Kodiak?
Oh, sick.
I mean, I've never been to Kodiak for Sitka, but I want to go in November. I want to go in their hardhorn.
Yeah, it's sick, man. You go there in November and they are. Oh, they rut
it's
hard.
It's a real doable hunt, right?
Oh, it's wicked doable. It's funny because when I was younger, I had delusions of maybe doing a super slam.
Yeah.
Has nothing to do with trophies. Nothing. I wouldn't even register the animals to get in any book, but I wanted to experience the habitat and the difficulty and learn and invariably when you want to go hunt one of these species, you learn more about that species than you either knew, or you end up coming away and learning more because you're kind of you're going through and figuring out what they are, but then in being in the presence of them and actually hunting them, you're literally figuring out things that you thought you knew, and you're gaining experiences. But so I want to do that, but then now there's a couple of species in there that I struggle with. Mountain lions is one of them. I know, like, I have friends that are houndsmen. Super cool. The things they do with their dogs. The cats are super cool. The whole chase, the whole running them and getting them in a tree, super cool. Just the killing part is where I'm having a tough time getting over that threshold of actually coming to full draw and shooting a cat out of a tree. Although I know I understand they're quite delicious. I've never eaten them, but they say they're really good eating. And so that's one, and then the polar bear is probably my other biggest hang-up.
Really?
Yeah.
Why is that?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know enough about them. I don't know if there are enough of them to hunt. I talked about this recently, and if you we're talking about, I had delusions of
grandeur,
doing of doing a super slam with my bow, but when I was younger. But now there's a few species in there that I don't know that I'd ever have the wherewithal to actually fall through, and one of them is a polar bear. And the only reason is I don't understand. I don't know really what the polar bear populations are doing.
Yeah,
I don't. If you talk to hunters, there's tons of polar bears. If you talk to the biologists, smart ones, they generally say, we have no idea. We're trying to figure this stuff out. And then if you talk to environmentalists, they say there are literally no more polar bears. They're all dead. You can't even see one ever.
Yeah, I've seen them on TV where they're talking about how climate change and stuff is impacting.
And definitely,
they got to swim further than they've ever done before.
Yeah, and there's definitely climate change. The globe is definitely changing now. What we don't realize is these changes are very drastic in our lifetime because we're such short-lived animals,
right?
And so, we're such short-lived when you're looking at the span of the Earth. We're less than a blip. But these things are pretty grand. But if you really look at the scale of things, there's been large events in the Earth's history as it comes along. So we could be just in one of those, and it's going to recover, and there's going to be yin and yang, of course, if we don't destroy our planet of our own volition. But, my point is, I don't know. I'll definitely need to go see polar bears. I definitely want to spend time around polar bears. I just don't know if I have... And also the money. It starts to feel like it's so much damn money to go hunt all these animals.
We've talked about that, and for me, and I think I'm speaking somewhat for you, if you say, hey, you can go to Alberta, you can hunt mule deer, you can hunt stone sheep in the Yukon, you can hunt whatever, blacktail in southern Oregon, or you can go hunt a polar bear. There's like 8 hunts to 1 hunt.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, polar bear is not on the list for me. I mean, it's cool, it's big, and I'll freeze I don't like getting cold anyway, not that cold.
Yeah.
So for me, it's like if you got like 15, 10 epic hunts or 1, I'm going to probably skip out on the 1 and do a lot for me personally.
Yeah.
And not only that, I don't get the polar bear thing. I mean,
well, to me,
I like shooting stuff, but I just don't understand the polar bear thing.
To me, part of it when it comes to like hounds and cats and stuff.
Yeah, that was my other one. Is I would love to run cats with hounds, but I don't know about shooting one out of a tree.
Yeah, and for me, it's kind of like the only way that would be valuable, or the only way that would really gets me excited is if I raised the hounds, worked the hounds, and they were my hounds, and there's that accomplishment, right?
Sure.
But when I leverage someone else's hounds and all, I don't appreciate it the same way.
Sure.
And so it doesn't. It's not a strong pull for me to go kill a mountain lion. Mm-hmm. And there's other species that are similar. Mm-hmm. I don't know enough about polar bears and how they roam and all that kind of stuff to really, get the full pleasure out of chasing them.
Some people have shot them in a really natural setting where they've stocked up on them. They're walking across the pack ice. I know Chuck Adams in his book, he wrote about that. He encountered a large boar on a big ice shelf and was able actually to stock up on this mountain. It basically became kind of like a mountain hunt, and he arrowed his polar bear. But a lot of them, the dogs bay them.
Dogs.
They shoot them. And so that just when I was younger, that sounded awesome to me, and I could see myself sitting next to a giant polar bear, and it just looked really cool. But when I really sit down and think about the intrinsic value of it and really heartfelt going through the process, it starts to lose water really fast for me.
Yeah. I have to say, I bet, and I could be wrong, if you were in Colorado or Oregon, let's say on the cat thing, and your deer herd was getting crushed, and every time you were glassing deer, you'd see mountain lions, you'd probably be more keen to I think I might
whack a few.
And that was for me, I've shot a few cats, and it was always more for this specific area. And I'm not saying, but I mean, dude, in the one area where Brian hunted this year, the cats need to go away.
Yeah, I shot a wolf this year with my bow. We were elk hunting in northern Idaho. And
is it legal?
Yeah. I did shoot
I just shouted it.
I'm just teasing. We're going full throttle.
Yeah. I went up there and we got there and the wolves were howling. The second we got there, next day they're howling. Aaron and I go out. Anyway, elk are coming in, and it was really frustrating hunting that thick country where there were so many wolves. I mean, they were everywhere. Felt good to shoot one.
Sure. And I did an interview for Discovery a while back, and the guy, it was when Cecil got killed.
Yeah.
So we're at Stupid Lion, not Stupid Lion, but
Aaron
stupid
and I did
situation
a podcast
around
on
that line.
Yeah.
And so they asked me about, how do you feel about zoo animals and this and that? And I was just speaking personally, not against what people are doing. If you want to hunt lions, knock yourself out.
Yeah.
But I said, here's how I positioned it with them. If you had me in Africa and there was a giraffe standing there and you handed me a rifle or a bow and said, I'll pay you $1 million to shoot that giraffe, I have no interest in it. You can keep your $1 million. I have no interest in killing a giraffe. I said, if you and I are in Africa and we're standing there and there's 10 giraffes standing in front of us and you say we have to kill 8 giraffes off this property because they're decimating their habitat and they're eating themselves out of house and home, we absolutely have to get the number down for absolutely dead free. Hand me the rifle. I'll shoot all 8. No problem.
That's a good way to look at it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a very good way to look at it.
So, Donnie, switching gears real quick, and then we'll let you go. What about gear? What is some of your favorite gear, especially in those cold weather situations, especially stuff that maybe guys don't think about?
This is going to sound 100% contrived, but my absolute favorite piece of gear is Kafaru teepee and Kafaru stove. It means so much to me on those hunts when you're having a terrible day, you're down in the dirt, you're not seeing animals, you're freezing cold, you maybe fell through the ice that day or you slipped and fell in the river.
Can I ad-lib to that real quick so people know our relationship? When I found out you had to pay for your gear from Kafaru.
Yeah, I buy my gear.
So I was like, I said, you made him pay? Because so they're like, yeah, why? And I'm like, and I said, you made Donnie Vincent pay you didn't even give him a deal? They're like, no, I think he paid
full
price.
retail.
And I was like, so I'm about to go ask this guy to work with me, and you didn't give him a discount. And they're like, no, and that was before I started. That was several years ago. And I'm like, well, this is going to be the greatest relationship I've ever had because I know he likes our shit because he's been using it and he had to pay for it. So when I said, dude, you know, when we were talking or whatever, I'm like, hey, dude, this is more for an R&D design relationship. As you go out, I just need you to give me feedback on what you would change, what you need, what you want, which we'll talk later today on that other project. But I can tell you, you've used our for 10 years, 8 years?
Yeah, I mean a long time, a long time. And I'm not bragging, but my opinion, I can't be sponsored. If you want to work with me, if Sitka or Kafaru or whomever, Mountain Ops wants to work with me and say, use it, just feedback. All we want is feedback. And maybe if it goes down this road to use some of your imagery in stuff that's captured sincerely, great. Then I have all the ambition in the world to work with you. But you first have to be a good person. Second, have to have a great product. And third, it has to be a natural relationship. If you say, hey, I'm struggling selling my bow or my arrows or my broadhead or my clothing, and
we can really use you, Donnie.
I want more eyeballs. Yeah, there's literally nothing you can do. But that is easily my favorite piece of gear because when you get that stove popping at night and you hear it, you see the box turn bright red, and you just sit there and no one talks.
Isn't there something
feel
kind of
your
like
face
full circle about it? Like, I don't know how to describe it. You're a man of words. I'm not, but it's
fire is awesome.
It's like caveman television, right? You're just it brings everything together and happy.
Oh, dude, and we light that thing, and if you camp in the low spruce in the Arctic, the lower level branches, they kind of it's called dwarf mistletoe, but they grow into these little bunches of little twigs, and you can just cut those off and stuff them in there, and you just even get a match near that stuff, and it just instantly is going. You just sit there, and I have long hair, so pull the hat off, run your fingers through the hair. It's snowing from dandruff. Your scalp is so dry, but you sit there and I rip my hair up into this giant, tall, standing crap, and it just starts to feel cleaner because the fire's it just feels so good.
It is amazing to me how much it's a mood shifter, right?
That's what I mean.
It literally.
You've talked about this a lot on the podcast.
I get cold easy, lose feeling in my hands and everything else. So for me, even like warming food, cooking a fish or whatever on that thing, it's a game changer in so many.
That's
levels.
my other thing. I say this all the time, and somebody just recently told me it's a Navy SEAL saying, but 2 is 1, 1 is none. Right?
Yeah.
If you bring 2 of something on a trip, you really only have 1 because 1 is going to fail. And if you bring 1 of something on a trip, you're really left without anything because it's going to fail.
Yeah.
So the stove is a super awesome backup for cooking, for heat, for drying clothing. It serves so many second purposes. And you don't want to bring 2 of everything because you're not going to be able to carry it. It's going to be too heavy. But you want to bring things that have multiple functions. And that stove is fantastic. But, I don't know.
When Aaron goes through his backpack list, he's like, that's one of the key things is, does this serve more than one purpose? And if you can get that gear in there, then you have that backup.
Well, and you and I've talked about gear off and on before, but I mean, you have an insulated puffy type jacket.
Yep.
I mean, do you wear the puffy like insulated pants sometimes?
Yep.
Yeah. That's one thing I think, unless you come from a backpacking mountaineering background or backpacking somewhat.
Yeah.
A lot of hunters skip.
Yeah.
You'd never used them. You'd use
Dude,
other
in Oregon,
types.
they just didn't. It doesn't get
Didn't
cold.
exist,
I mean,
I love puffy pants.
Oh man, that's a mood changer too. And for me, so my puffy pants, that's my second sleeping bag. So if my sleeping bag somehow, which would be my own fault, falls out of a raft, catches on fire, grizzly bear comes in while I'm gone and lets himself in the teepee and shreds it because they sometimes do that because they're super curious. And I come back and my down sleeping bag's shredded. Help's not coming.
Yeah.
There's literally no one's coming to my aid. So now, while it's uncomfortable, but it'll be a great story and it'll film great, I'm laying there every night in my down jacket and my down pants, laying there in my second sleeping bag.
Survive.
And then if my tent fails, let's say the grizzly really screws up the teepee, just shreds it, or, God forbid, the teepee blows away, or I don't know, we have extreme winds or something, then I literally can survive the rest of the hunt wearing my down and my rain gear at night. So my rain gear is my backup tent. That's my secondary tent. So, I start to layer all these things. But that's the other thing I was going to say when you say what gear is important. The right clothing for me is wicked important. Yeah. Wicked important. And, like, it's really tough to find good gear. It's really, 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 really tough to find good hunting clothing in the hunting industry. Really tough. Mm-hmm. It is not around every corner.
And you're talking about hitting, some seriously rugged places, cold places, life-threatening places.
Mm-hmm. There's, not a lot of room for error.
Yeah, we'll have people talk about stuff and, contact Aaron and I, and they're like, you don't need that to hunt. And it's like, well, where are you hunting? Mm-hmm. Because, you don't need it in maybe late August in Idaho.
Yeah.
But you do.
Well, like when I hunt whitetails, I'll bring rain gear in case I'm around camp or something. But if I'm hunting whitetails and it's raining, I don't wear rain gear. I'd rather get soaked, be quiet, and then I'll just dry my stuff at the house or the cabin or the teepee afterwards, right? Because there's no, I'm not extending myself beyond safety.
Well, I don't think people realize in the North Country, which is why, without not giving away what you and I were talking about on the thing you needed, but one of the reasons why I don't think people realize how remote you are when you're there. Like, if you do, you're going to die. I mean,
you're going to die.
Yeah, it's probably an hour and 50-minute helicopter ride just to Norman Wells from the closer portions. And that's not saying that there's a doctor there that's not going to let you die.
He might not be there.
Yeah, he might not.
Yeah, he might not be there. And generally, this is how it all stacks up. When you fall and break your leg, the weather is not conducive to getting the helicopter even to you. So when you radio and say, "Hey, I'm jacked up," they go, "Awesome. It's supposed to stop being cloudy and foggy in 3 days. We'll see you then." Put a tourniquet on. And I was flying with a pilot one time. I won't name him. He's he's so talented in airplanes, it's not even funny. But he's just a businessman. He's just an air taxi guy, but he's a wicked talented pilot. But him and I are flying through Lake Clark National Park in Alaska, in western Alaska, really rugged spot. And I just got done floating the Chili Cadratna River into the Mulchatna. I just did it for fun, and I was caribou hunting, but it was too warm to actually kill a bull, so I had to pass on all the bulls because I wasn't going to be able to preserve the meat.
Yeah.
But we floated down, and we're flying out in this nasty rainstorm, and all of a sudden we fly over this guy. I'm like, "Hey, there's a dude down here," and and he turns his airplane, he looks down, and there's a guy like giving the SOS signal.
Yeah.
He's going like this, stand next to a tent, going like this, and he flies over, and I look down, and I saw him punch his GPS. And I go, "Hey, he's doing the SOS, like that guy, and he goes, I don't know, I think that guy's got a case of the dumb shits, and he's flying." I'm like, "Yeah, but something, might really be wrong." He's like, I fly over here tomorrow and the next day. He's like, "If he's still there, I'll call it in, but I think he's just being a dumbass." I'm like, "Oh, okay.
That's crazy.
That's cool. He might be dead tomorrow." But
yeah, no kidding.
Super neat.
That's crazy.
But it's a tough country, dude.
I was going to say, it is a tough country.
And those people, I'm not saying like the search and rescue guys in Alaska, the dudes, the troopers, like, they're amazing people, and they will risk their own life and limb to come and get you. I have flown in some really nasty situations where they wanted to get us out before it was going to get really, really, really bad. I've flown out with these guys where they literally have their pilot door open because we can't see the mountains, and they're following the creek out in their airplane, and our skis are scraping against willow bushes, and it's a mess. And but they risk their own tail. They could have just said, "Hey, dude, I'll get you in 20 days. Like, skim it out. Good luck, and I'll get you." Man. But they ride the line. So yeah.
So with we got to cut it here pretty soon.
Yeah.
What do you got coming up? What do you been? I know what you've been doing. Tell everybody else what you've been doing.
So there's a big film that we're working on right now, and it's getting nearly complete. But we have to put the finishing touches on it. And one of the things that I'm kind of running into is I have a filming opportunity this October. I'm spending essentially the month of October on the Alaska Peninsula, and I'm toying with, do I want to add some of that footage and story into the film, or do I want to launch the film this spring? So I'm not sure. But
well, you've got 5 years into that project?
5 years. Yeah.
So
5 years.
This spring, maybe.
Yeah, I mean it's a really good chance.
I'm waiting for. I need a Donnie Vincent fix,
and it's gonna be long. It's gonna be a long film. It's a long form film. It's gonna be way longer than Rivers Divide, Terra Nova.
Really?
And then there's going to be other stuff.
I like long.
Yeah. And there's going to be other stuff that we're going to publish. I think maybe this summer we might do a film and series. We've never released our Toke Doll Sheep Hunt from years ago, so we might break that into a series of like 5 and release that for free on DonnieVincent.com, and just so people you can't hang your hat on that yet. But this year we want to do a little bit more producing than filming, or at least 50-50, and really bring some stuff out. But if I'm not out there doing this, then I have no opinion on gear or development, and so I have to stay on that side of my life as well. And then also the production side. Yeah, just because I want to share this stuff with people.
That's why it's good I have Aaron. He drags me out. Otherwise, I'd be inside producing stuff all the time.
And he drags me to these things.
That's right.
Yeah. Yeah, these are tough.
People need a little Aaron Snyder discussion. They need to hear from Aaron.
Amy's like, oh, yeah, it's like 50 right now. And I'm like, man, dang, I could be crushing the side of the mountain. But
shed hunting.
I do have to start meeting, greeting people more.
No, it's good. It's good. We balance each other.
Yeah, it's awesome to meet people, and it's awesome to be here and see it's almost overwhelming at all the new stuff that's out and about. But I appreciate this. You guys appreciate the opportunity to.
I really appreciate too. Like you're one of those people I've wanted to interview since I started the podcast.
Oh, cool!
And you didn't disappoint, man.
Right on.
I appreciate it.
Yeah,
I did.
Absolutely, and
cool,
we'll obviously. Much to talk about, much to move forward on. But we have a lot of projects coming up, and I think some of the stuff is going to be. I feel like it's going to be pretty groundbreaking for us. Like the stuff that we're doing right now feels like it's, if you can measure it, it feels like it's 2 to 3 times better than like the Rivers Divide or Terra Nova. Right? It just feels. I showed it to a friend of mine who's in this industry a couple months ago, and he watched like 10 minutes of it, and he's like, yeah, I want to throw up right now. I want to puke. This is the best thing I've ever seen in my life.
That's cool, man.
Well done, man.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Looking forward to it.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Donnie.
Stay gritty. I haven't even had a drink tonight.
We got some awesome things coming up.
We do. So we've got a couple of announcements. We got the Northwest Sportsman Show coming up on the 8th through the 12th. In Portland,
Oregon.
Yep. So we're going to be Casey and I, we're going to be down there in the XXX.
Yep.
Phelps Game Calls booth, and then we've got another show.
Right after that, we've got the it's the Western Hunting Expo in Utah, February 16th through the 19th. We've got a big booth filled with a lot of people. We've got Brian's going to be there podcasting with Aaron. Excited.
Yes.
Phelps is going to be there. Chad Mendez is going to be there. Hush is going to be there. We're going to do another Keep Hammering 5K on the 18th.
Yes. I don't think I'll place as well.
No, you surprised both Casey and I.
I didn't see him cross the line, so I still don't believe it.
Brian was one of the first 20 finishers.
Yes.
Finished in 18th?
19th, I think.
19th, okay. Yeah,
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening to the Gritty Bowmen podcast. Take a precious moment of your time and give Aaron and Brian a review on iTunes.
Type in the code GRITTY at checkout, and you save 20% on all Mountain Op supplements.
Get some. They're smoking.
Get it. Got it.
And that's it, right? That's it. We thank you for listening to the Gritty Bowmen podcast.
Because it's awesome.
Huge thanks, and stay gritty.
Stay gritty for sure.
Stay gritty. Grit it.